What's up, world? Welcome to Essential Conversations. Right now, the cultural climate in our world is very sensitive, and that's why we want to tap in with somebody very important today. MK, who we got?
Tonight we're going to be tapping in with our guys over at Black Men Build.
So we're going to hop right into it. I want you to tell me about Black Men Build. What is your initiative behind it? How can people get involved? How can we get involved? And what is it, the mission that you guys want to get across?
Black men are struggling. I'm one of them. You know, we struggle with mental things. We struggle with trying to find our place in this world that's not made for us. And we take out that anger on ourselves. We put it inside of us, or we hurt the people who's closest to us. It's our partners. It's our lovers. It's our baby mamas. It's our wives. It's our homies. And so this is also, Black Men Build is also under the realization that Black men really do need a place for them to be able to come, for them to be able to be trained, to learn, to understand, to get context for the world, but also for them to get in the fight in a real way, because it's the fight of a generation. And if Black men are on the sidelines, not holding it down, we will absolutely lose.
So what I peeped from your website is you guys created a Black man survival guide.
Mm-hmm.
What does that entail?
That came under the nexus of the survival guide was an idea of two of the brothers that are within kind of the coordinating committee for the group, Jonathan Taylor and Richard Wallace. One is in Atlanta, the other is in Chicago. And it was during COVID when we first had the idea. And y'all know, in a matter of 2-3 weeks, everything has shifted in the world. But the initial thought was Black men need to know how to navigate through COVID. We know that Black people, period, no matter your identity, have been in crisis before the virus, right? And so for us, it was a realization that if you're a Black person in this United States, there are a million ways to die, COVID being the most recent one. And so in the survival guide, it has things to take care during COVID. COVID hasn't gone anywhere, right? We're talking about other things that are just as important, if not more, but COVID is still here. So it's about staying safe during COVID, how to actually, for the most essential worker in our community, the weed man, how the weed man can stay safe during COVID. But it's also other things that other people may not think about. Now you're in the house with your kids, maybe a little bit more than you're used to. You're in the house with your partner a little bit more than you're used to. And so you need to know about communication. You need to know about conflict resolution. You need to know how to whip up some food really quickly. And so there's some tips for how to do that inside of there as well. And then there's community protection, things about meditation, physical fitness. What we're trying to do is say, you need, as a brother in this society, mind, body, and soul, who is connected to yourself, connected to your family, connected to your community, connected to the diaspora. This is some tools for you to start. And we called it a survival guide because that's where we are. We want to thrive. Right now, we're surviving.
Right. I mean, I think in the cultural climate that we are in, the survival guide is definitely needed, not necessarily just for COVID, but just as a Black man, how to survive walking down the street, or how to survive being in a workplace. Like recently for me, I think, and I'm not a man, but I'm a woman that's on the front lines, but being in the workplace, and sometimes you have to have those uncomfortable conversations about what is actually happening in the world. And it used to be a point in time where it was like, we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about this, that, and the third, politics. But unfortunately now I feel like we are forced to talk about those amongst
conversation.
Yeah, amongst our coworkers. And some of them might be white and not really understand what we're going through as a race. And I think that maybe a step further in that culture guide is how to converse with somebody of the opposite race that wants to know how to be involved. And it was funny because recently I watched Malcolm X, and there's a part where this young white girl runs up to him and she says, "How can I help? What can I do to be?" And he was like, "You can do nothing." And I thought that was very cold of him to do. I love Malcolm X, but I thought it was very cold of him to say. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there today that are going through those things. So what is something like that how would you tell a Black man to have that conversation, or a Black woman, or anybody, to have that conversation with others that want to be involved, but you don't necessarily know how to tell them what to do?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, because that's what we're hearing from other brothers, right? Like, I don't know what y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying? I hear the words, I hear abolish, I hear defund, I hear woo, woo, woo. I don't know about any of that. And so I consider myself an organizer and a teacher and an educator. So the reason I distinguish that from an activist per se is An activist plans, goes to, attends rallies, marches, protests, etc. That is a very important role, but it should be distinguished from the others because whereas some people might say, I don't got time to talk to you about that. As an organizer, my goal is to bring more people into the organization, more people into the movement. So I'm forced to have to explain and do things over and over. So to answer your question directly, one, I think there are many levels to it. So first off, if what we're doing is going out and explaining what we mean when we talk about things. And I think that's one of the things that we all have to do. I know it's laborious and I know it's very taxing, especially as women, actually, to have to go about in the world and have to explain your stuff to white people and your husband or your baby father or your partner or your homie,
and
right?
Your kids.
You have to do a whole lot of explaining. And your kid, you know, there's a lot of explaining that has to be done. What I would say is, I consider myself, it's not maybe everyone's role, but I'm a person who doesn't mind having to do that. And it's not a dig on anybody that says I don't have time or that's not my work. But my work is explain this, take the time, break down the words, break down the concepts, because people are seeking to understand right now. And so if I've got a lot of white folks, people hitting me up from previous lives of mine, asking me what's going on. I take the time because we need them to be in the Army. And we cannot allow willful ignorance to be the reason that they don't get in the Army, because also the right wing is explaining the world as they see it every single day. Right. They explain it in our music. They explain it in our movies. They explain it in our TV shows, in our books. The way they see the world, they have already explained it over and over until it has become the common sense for the entire country and the world, really. And so we have to replace that common sense and build a new common sense. And the only way we're going to do that is by taking the painstaking work of talking to people.
Right.
And the last thing I'll say really quickly about your question is, that's where we take our work also with Black Men Build, is Black men, we don't move about in the world thinking about what it's like to be a woman or a gay person or a trans person. I'm saying Black men if you're cisgender, heterosexual, right? We don't think about what it's like to move in the world as other people, right? And so I know me, I'm not perfect, right? You know, I've had relationships deteriorate because even as conscious as I am, I don't wake up thinking about, dang, I wonder how the world is moving for my partner and how she's doing, right? And so that's a part of the work of Black Men Build, is actually to bring Black men in and say, yo, you don't got to know all the terms. You don't even got to be comfortable with all the whoop band. But let me break some of this down for you. And at the end of this, I want you to understand that no matter where you are, you should be protecting and defending them. If they Black, if they white, no matter what, that's our job.
Right. And it seems like really it's a common understanding of understanding. Like, I feel like we're going back to knowing kindness in our world. And I feel like people don't understand what kindness and empathy are. And those are things that we're taught at such a young age, but it's almost as if everybody has forgotten that in today's world. It's like, what is kindness?
Anything goes.
Right, anything goes. If I don't like you, I don't like you, and I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna preach hate, and I'm gonna preach those things. And I'm so happy to have groups and organizations like yours to be able to help others understand how to facilitate for it and understand we don't gotta like the same things, but we all are human, and we all need to understand when something is wrong, we have a voice to use. And I commend you and everybody else that is working with you, because it's definitely something needed, important. Can you tell people how to follow you and also how they can get involved?
Yes. So on all the social media platforms at Black Men, MEN Build, at Black Men Build on all of the platforms. So you can find us on Instagram, on Twitter, and then our website is www.blackmen.build, not .com, .build. .build. Yeah. And so if you go to the website, so this is our request. We're trying to get 10,000 Black men to sign on to our values. Real quick, the values are, I am a critical thinker and I'm curious about how this moment is affecting myself, my family, and my community. I am bonded with Black women and all Black people who are fighting for the liberation of all people. We must heal the hurt that we have committed to Black women and be a leader in healing and transforming our communities. And we are coming together to transform, to meet this moment. We are evolving right? We are not the images of manhood given to us by the European. We're transformed to meet this moment. So that's the values. And we believe if we can get 10,000 brothers to sign that value statement, that we will have done a good thing for the year 2020. And so what I would ask is, if you're listening to this, go to the website, sign on to the values. You'll then start getting emails and texts about other ways to do other things. And if you're of any other identity, meaning you do not identify as a Black male, we want you to pass it on to other people who identify as Black men and get them to sign on to the pledge. And we need your trust, because frankly, men do things that sisters tell them to do. So if, if you get a text from the sis or from any woman, you're more inclined to do it than from me. So
absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for tapping in with us, sharing the information. We definitely want to stay connected with you and share it on our platform. However we can spread the word, and keep going, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll link.
Thank you for watching. Now make sure that you watch all our videos on our YouTube page. Subscribe right now. Wordkrush with a K.